I don't have a good surprise face. Or at least when you give me a gift and I'm not exactly sure what it is or how I'm supposed to react to it, I'm not very good at hiding it. So you can only imagine the face I had to muster up on Christmas morning when I opened my box and an ice axe laid in front of me. My dad went on to explain that he had gotten his friend Sam to help take us up the winter route of Mount Washington later that year. The White Mountains of New Hampshire were no stranger to me or my family, so we thought we had this in the bag. For context, Sam could call Mount Washington his second home, and nobody would bat an eye. This man, before we had convinced him to take the extra bed in our room at Doge Lodge, was planning on sleeping outside, alone, in the Great Gulf Wilderness. What? Sam knew what he was doing. We did not. Over breakfast the morning of the hike, my dad and Sam made it very clear that we were probably not going to make it to the summit of Mount Washington that day. The forecast called for driving snow and winds up to 100 miles an hour. They were like, completing any part of this hike is an accomplishment in and of itself. What? I'm a competitive person. I'm an Aries and an older sister. It's just who I am. We are so gonna make it to the top of this mountain. The first 2 miles of the hike were nice and gradual. Eventually, we made it to the turnoff to Lion's Head winter route. We grabbed a snack, some more water, threw on a couple layers, and headed towards the wall of ice. I remember seeing it for the first time, looking up at it and thinking, you want us to go up that? But sure enough, Sam scurried right by, right up the ice, tying off a rope for me, my dad, and my sister. My dad hands the rope to me. I grab the rope, I take my ice axe, I jam the ice axe in the ice, I take a step. I've got this. I take 4 more of these steps, getting 6 feet off the ground. My legs start shaking. I don't got this. I would be lying if I said I remember making it the rest of the way up that wall. I think my fear of heights kicked in and I completely blacked it out. What I do remember is making it to the top of that ledge, looking down at my dad and my sister, and thinking, how in the world are we gonna get back down? But I'm sure our mountain goat has a plan. The next hour of the hike was grueling. The mountain was so steep that we were sidestepping so we didn't slip back down. Eventually, we made it to tree line, which is where the trees stopped growing. And the mountain started to even out a little bit, but the temperature dropped 20 degrees, and the wind was blowing so fast it felt like I was standing outside of a moving car. After about half a mile more of walking, we found a rock to hide behind to get away from the wind for a while. Reconvening, I had decided, we're not making it to the top of this mountain. Fine by me, I'm ready for hot cocoa back at the lodge. Let's go. But my dad and Sam said we should keep going for like 20 more minutes for the experience and to reach our turnaround time. So, climbed out from behind the boulder, took 30 more steps. The snow got so deep that I was sinking up to my hips, so I had to start crawling. Sam stopped first, and slowly we all gathered around him. And shouting over the windy gusts, we declared this spot Summit 1. Now, even though we didn't make it to the top of that mountain, I still felt pretty badass. That is, until we made it to the top of the ice shelf again. Ahead of us was a group we had sailed by on the way up. They must have turned around before we did, and they were stuck halfway down the wall. It was a young couple accompanied by a guide from one of the local mountain stores in the area. They were clinging onto their ropes, refusing to move, consequently meaning we couldn't get down. There's only enough room for one party at a time. You hear stories of people getting stuck or lost or freezing to death in the wilderness, and I don't think I had ever really understood that reality until I was standing on top of that mountain. We had been moving uphill all day, so my base layers were wet and sweaty, and standing still for that long had turned my sweat to ice cubes. We stood there for 2 hours. I was starting to get nervous. My dad tried to have us keep moving up and down that mountain. All I wanted to do was fight him every time he said, "Keep walking." My sister, who is the chattiest person I know, was quiet. I remember leaning up against a tree feeling more out of control than I ever had in my entire life. I tried to keep telling myself that in 3 short hours, we're gonna be in the car, pumping that heat, laughing about how good of a story this is gonna be to tell one day. But I couldn't feel my feet. My legs ached and my back was screaming. What if we don't make it off this mountain? What if we don't make it back to the car? I don't ever eat ice cream again. I never get my own license, don't graduate high school, don't see my friends or go to college. Eventually, Sam and the guide were able to get the couple in front of us to move. And as soon as they cleared the way, we grabbed onto that rope, we belayed ourselves down the rest of the ice shelf and scurried off the rest of the mountain. I still haven't made it to the top of Mount Washington in the wintertime. One day. I'm headed to college in the fall, and in some ways that feels like a whole new summit of its own. And this time, I'm ready. I know not everything's gonna be in my control. I know not to bet on success, and I'm ready to look for the little victories. It's time to find the next summit ones. Thank you.